Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio State Primetime Live here at Ohio State Voice College Football. I'm your host, always at 7 p.m. on a Monday, Garrison Gaddy. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you'd like to check out our website at www.vocfb.com, where you can check out our weekly schedule and also see all of the awesome writers that we have that keep you up to date for any program, whether it be Ohio State, Indiana, Oklahoma, North Carolina, etc. Here, they all have it here for you. And just keeping you up to date with what's going on with the college football landscape. Also, if you'd like to, everybody, please go ahead and hit that join button. We can see our three tiers, that being the Blocko Club, JT wasn't short, and of course, we don't give a damn, and you know the rest. Well, big week to get started, everybody. Of course, we all know that the Ohio State Buckeyes will now be playing the Miami Hurricanes in the Cotton Bowl down in Texas. And we've talked about this, and for a lot of Ohio State fans, this is kind of the matchup that we wanted. Not because it necessarily would be easier. I think Texas A&M would be the easier matchup simply because of their defense just being terrible, whereas in Miami's isn't. But of course, there's deeper things that run in this, and it's funny. As soon as that game got over in Texas A&M and Miami, I was in a space on X. And it took no time. You could go in there and you could hear like a few of us Buckeye fans and Miami fans going right at it. Now, I'll tell you this right now. Miami fans aren't the smartest bunch of people, not the brightest light bulbs in the room. But, of course, we all know there is somewhat of a kindled rivalry there between the Hurricanes and the Buckeyes. Of course, everyone knows that they can't stand the fact that we took that 2002-2003 national championship from them in the Fiesta Bowl. And they hold on to that dearly, thinking that they got cheated. And then also, I mean, last time we saw Miami, they beat us. I think the quarterback at the time was Jacoby Harris. So I look forward to seeing that. First, though, we're going to start with Ryan Day's presser. Of course, some of the players also talked today, but Ryan Day about an 18-minute interview today, here, getting ahead of the Cotton Bowl Classic. And there's a few things, of course, I wanted to talk about. That, he answered a lot of questions. But I thought there was a few things he said that were very, very key. And first off, I mean, we're going to start with the play calling. He said that he noted that, for Brian Hartline, it is difficult to not only be the USF's head coach to be and getting your staff together. He's also probably got to do some recruiting. We all know that in January 2nd, the portal open, so he's probably going around looking for targets in the portal right now. We also saw that he did offer a Buckeye commit. I can't blame him. I mean, look, man, he's doing his job. So I saw a lot of people didn't like that, but the guy has his job to do, and that is what it is. But on top of doing that, and then of course last week was his first time getting with the team, and now, when Ryan Day said, we're going to see how the month goes. Then come game week, we'll make a decision. Well, it's like Ryan Day has made a decision. He'll be doing the play calling. He said, we're kind of taking it day to day right now. It'll be a group effort, as he said all season, with play calling. But ultimately, Day said, it'll be my decision. And I think that's how it should be. If you remember about maybe a few weeks back, I gave the question to you all. Does any part of you all worry about Brian Hartline being the play caller, being the offensive coordinator, while also trying to get everything ready for the USF Bulls, where he will be a head coach? And I think maybe for about 95% of everybody, they said they weren't worried about it, said that they still wanted Hartline to be calling plays. And I simply, brought up, I don't know if this would be a good time for him to be calling plays if he's not here from the get-go on the game plan. And then Brian Hartline even admitted himself that it was a distraction while he was preparing for that Indiana game. Now, I ain't to say that that's not an excuse on why Ohio State lost for anybody that's going to pop in here, see this video, and then say, oh, looks, they're making excuses. No, that's not what we're doing. We're simply acknowledging a fact of what he said. And also on top of that, Kurt Signetti said the same thing. He thought that they were going to win that game because of one of the reasons being distractions, not whether it be positive or negative. They had distractions from our offensive coordinator taking a head coaching job and also trying to juggle that while being our OC. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm happy about it. I'm never gonna be upset with Ryan Day calling plays, and even though he's gotten away from it since last year, where of course Chip Kelly was the offensive coordinator. One of the big reasons he did that though had more to do with the offseason and making sure that he could touch different rooms on the team, talk to different players, see what's going around, not just on the offense, but also on the defense, not just with the running backs, the wide receivers, but also with the running backs, the offensive line. So I think at this point in time, Ryan Day, I would trust that he has a hold on everything and that he's prepared. The guy's a national championship winning head coach. And again, as long as Ryan Day is the head coach at Ohio State, I am never going to worry about offense. I'm definitely never going to worry about him calling plays. He is one of the best offensive minds in the sport right now, if not the brightest mind in the sport offensively. And on top of that, I think Ryan Day, and this is kind of on a tangent in my own opinion, but I think Ryan Day trusts Matt Patricia to handle the operation of the defense more than Jim Knowles. Um, I think that Ryan Day wanted to get his hand in there a little bit more. We all know what happened after the first Oregon game. And so when you see what Matt Patricia is doing, and also you just look at his background and how he's most of his job or his coordinating days have been working with older, grown men. I think that he knows how to make things work. And so for Ryan Day to be able to go and call these plays on offense, I think he's going to be just comfortable doing so. On top of that, I love Ryan Day's play calling in playoff scenarios and dome games specifically. I think there's a really good chance that Ryan Day comes in this game and I guess finally lets it rip, like as he's been saying. But Ryan, I mean, he has a tendency in bowl games in situations like this. You saw it last year too, where he's more prone to throw the ball, but that's because the weather's not a situation, right? One thing and we'll talk about it later. One thing I am curious about is how he feels about the kicking scenario right now with Jaden Fielding in a dome. So that does make me curious. And last year he was really good in them, but we'll talk about that here later. But yeah, so again, Ryan Day calling plays, no qualms there about it. Very happy, very excited. I do get excited when I hear Ryan Day talk about calling the plays. I think he's a mastermind when it comes down to it. Next, he brought up, he was asked about Tegra's health and about Gabe and Josh playing there. And, Tegra, I guess it was true. He is out, he said for a few weeks. Now, you never want to see a guy get injured, and you hope and pray. I hope and pray Tegra gets healthy as soon as possible. With that being said, Tegra has been a liability this year. And every time Josh Padilla and Gabe Vincicle got on the field, they played lights out. I won't even say lights out. They played better than Tegra did. Josh better in a run pro, and Gabe Vincicle better in pass pro. Of course, they're still going to be swinging those two guys in and out. I'm very curious on who actually plays more, because I think that you got to figure that out before you get to Georgia and before you get back to Indiana, and before you get back to or possibly playing Oregon, and etc. And this will be those guys' biggest challenge. Those guys have never seen a defensive line like this, and again, we're going to talk more about that later in the show. But yeah, I'm really excited for these guys. As you guys all know, I am a Gabe Vincicle fan. Guys from my area of the state of Michigan, from Coopersville, Michigan, where he is from, about 15 minutes down the road from where I am. And Josh Padilla, I mean, honestly, he probably should have been starting the season. It's hard for me to believe that Tegra outplayed him in the offseason, because just in terms of what we saw in the games, it wasn't really close to me. I think that Josh Padilla and Gabe Vincicle are the clear-cut 1-2 guys in the depth chart. Both of them honestly are probably 1A, 1B, but Tegra's not part of that. And again, we hope Tegra gets healthy, man, because at the end of the day, we still need depth. You still want to have all the players you can. You want to have all the healthy guys you can. And he said maybe a few weeks, but I mean, a few weeks, that kind of tells me you're out for the rest of the playoff. So there's that. And then also just on how they felt after the loss against Indiana. Ryan Day says, I don't think there's anything learned. Everybody's just moving around with an edge. Everybody's pissed off and wants to get it right. It's a game, quote unquote, versus Indiana or quotation versus Indiana. We felt we shouldn't have lost. I did like hearing that. You know, a lot of times head coaches they'll take the easy route, take the more political correct way out of that question and say, hey, you know, we lost that game and that's a really good team. But no, Ryan Day called it, and I think he knows that a lot of fans feel this way, that we shouldn't have lost that game, and that coming out of with the clock hit 0-0-0-0, I thought Ohio State was the better football team, and it looks as though Ryan Day and his team knows the same. And in that game against Indiana, neither one of them helped each other out. That being the coaches and the players, they both had their own mistakes in there. But no, I'm very excited to hear that. And you know, they said the same thing last year. You're pissed off, but you still got to play with an edge. You know, what is it? You know, in football, it's controlled chaos. So yeah, you want that chaos. You want to be pissed off. You want to be angry, but you need to be able to control and hone in on that and know in spots where to like show that. And I think this team will be ready for it. Again, a lot of these guys were played last year, had meaningful minutes, were starters on the national championship team last season. So they know what it takes at this point of the season and what they have to do to be successful, to win, and how to prepare themselves going into this game against Miami in the Cotton Bowl. Well, again, everybody, if you're just now joining in, go ahead and please hit that like button. Also, hit that hype button. Of course, if you hit that, it helps us get in the algorithm. Does a lot for us here at the network, and you know, it helps us grow the community. Also, share it on your social media. That helps too. A few things I want to show here. Oh, first off, shout out to Daniel Perry Sports. Happy Monday, everyone. As always, man. Hey, happy Monday to you too, brother. Shout out to Aaron. What's up, Buckeye fam? Hey, backwards hat Garrison. Yeah, he's back. He's back, Jam. Oh man, Aaron. I see your comment right here. I'm gonna save that right there, buddy, because I do want to talk about that. Shout out to Daniel Henry, OHIO. What up, Garrison? Not much, man. Honestly, it's been a very chill day. Honestly, haven't been doing much. Just shoveled. Had to not really shovel, but get all the melted ice off off the driveway. Because I forgot to do that last week when it hit about 2 degrees and it froze over. So, and then the plow came through, put a ice/snow bank on the entrance. So I took some time breaking that ice up this morning. It's been that's what I've been doing honestly all day. It's been a little warm today. And when I say warm, I mean 38 degrees. But if you live in the Midwest, you get what I'm saying. But yeah, man, it's been a good day. It's been good. It's been good. Jesse says we need cocaine day. Yeah, I'm not. I agree with you. We definitely do. We definitely do. We see tied to the natty. Let's say I guess as a Buckeye, I mean a Bama fan, says the choke guys don't win against good teams. Y'all toast against Miami. Is that the same way you felt against Florida State? We don't got to talk about that. But that did happen though, right? You guys got dog walked by Florida State, an unranked Florida State. Yeah, that did happen. Exactly. Bro, man, I'm trying to be respectful to Bama. I'm trying to, but again, we're going to talk about those CFP round 2 games too. Also talk about the round 1 games that we saw. But yeah, man, let's continue here with the show. Again, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like button. Now let's continue. So, round 1, of the playoffs, I thought was somewhat entertaining to an extent. Of course, we all know the Oregon James Madison game blowout from the get-go. Of course, James Madison ends up putting 34 points while Oregon puts up 51. Backdoor cover. Sorry for anybody that actually bet on that game for Oregon to cover that spread. But I see a lot of people talking about that those 34 points Oregon gave up, and I think 28 of that came in the second half when basically the game was over with and done with. And I honestly don't hold too much against Oregon for that. Oregon has a really good defense. By that time, you got the backups in. James Madison's quarterback threw the ball 40 plus times in there, so you can tell what they're trying to do, and I'm not really worried about it, man. I thought Oregon played a really good game for what they were presented out of James Madison. James Madison, for what they are, the G5 team, is a really good football team. They're a really good football team for what they are. But of course, Oregon gets out of that 51-34. And then you have the Alabama-Oklahoma game. Alabama comes back from a 17-0 deficit and wins the game 34-24. I think 20 to 24 unanswered points. What a game that Oklahoma pissed away. I mean, Alabama went out there and won it. Don't get it wrong. Don't get me wrong, but you're up 17-0. Man, I will say Mateer made an awesome play. Ran to the right, looked like he was going to get sacked, got out of there, scrambled drill, got to his left, finds a wide receiver wide open down the field. Beat his man in coverage, probably had like a 5-yard head start over him, and then he just drops a pass, which at the worst would have been a first down, but otherwise I thought that was going to be a touchdown. Then you're talking 24-0, and I thought that would have broken Alabama's spirits. But instead, that doesn't happen. They got to punt the ball. It doesn't go they want. They muff the punt. Not muff the punt, but like the punter just mishandles the ball, put the ball too far out in front of his foot, and he ends up missing in Alabama. They turn a bunch of Oklahoma mistakes into points, and that's what you have to do. Now, Alabama in that game, 2 for 12 on third down, averaged 1.1 yards per carry. You can't do that in the next round. You can't do that in the next round. You're not going to survive against Indiana doing that. Quite frankly, if you do that against Indiana, you're probably going to get blown out. Now, and we'll talk more about the Indiana-Alabama game here soon. But yeah, man, shout out to the Tide for getting this win against Oklahoma. And then, of course, the next game was Ole Miss and Tulane. Nothing much to say about there. Ole Miss wins 41-10. Ole Miss did what they were supposed to do. I guess, again, that was a rematch from previously in the year, so that was really cool to see. What are the odds of a G5 team and a P4 team meeting up again in the playoffs? But Ole Miss took care of business, man. They did exactly what they're going to do, and they're going to go play the Georgia Bulldogs again this season. And then, of course, the Miami Texas A&M matchup. Now, the win was insane. It reminded me of what I think it was 2022 or 2021? It was 2022, I think, when Ohio State played Northwestern. And it was like 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, maybe even more. And it was about the same in this game against for Texas and Miami over in College Station. And it wasn't a fun game to watch. It wasn't pretty to watch. And usually I can watch a 10-3 football game, but it was just like the missed field goals, the horrible play calling from Mario Cristobal. I couldn't stand that. When you got Mark Fletcher continuously running through Texas A&M. Everyone knew that Texas A&M had a good pass rush, but their defensive line could not hold water against a really good run game. And for some odd reason, Mario kept you could call it out. We're watching the game, and Mark Fletcher gets like a 20-yard run, or it was 17 yards actually. And I said, guys, I guarantee you, they pass the ball again here. They're gonna pass the ball, and right on cue, what does Mario go and do? He throws the ball. It was insane to watch. I don't understand why they did that, but that was I could never trust Mario Cristobal as my head coach. I really couldn't. But in that game, Malachi Tony, All-American, very, very, very not just talented but good true freshman player at wide receiver. He fumbles the ball. And then he gets his redemption shot, and he gets a receiving touchdown into the end zone to give Miami 10 points. And then the defense at the end of the game, they buckle down. Marcel Reed makes a dumb decision on third down and goal and throws the interception. So, which isn't surprising because Marcel Reed has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the playoff race over the last month. I think he finished out now with 9 interceptions over the last 6 games. Completely terrible. You can't win games like that. So yeah, shout out to Miami for winning that game. They did that on the road. Very impressive. But now let's talk about these round 2 matchups, and then we're gonna lead into roll into the Ohio State Miami game. Oregon Texas Tech in the Capital One Orange Bowl. This is a matchup I'm really excited for. I'm not sure who I have winning yet, but I am leaning towards Oregon. Actually, no, screw it. I'm going to lean Oregon on this. I'm going to pick Oregon to win this game. Now, Texas Tech, $7 million defensive line. And it was well spent. Definitely the best defensive line in college football, at least one of. But I wouldn't put them anywhere past top 2. It's that good. One of the best linebacker duos in the country. Definitely top three in the country. Secondary, not their strong suit, and I think that's where Oregon can take advantage. DeCorian Moore came back, played in this game against James Madison. It is rumored that Stewart could be back. He practiced last week, was out there running routes. I would love for him to come back. I think that he's one of the best wide receivers in the country when healthy. And he can take the top off of defense. So if he's able to come back in this game and he's healthy, even 85 to 90%, I think he would be nothing but an asset for that Oregon offense. On the other side, again, I don't really care about what I just saw happen with James Madison in the second half against Oregon because the game was already decided. Texas Tech is one of the most inconsistent offenses in the sport, specifically because of their quarterback, Morton. They also struggle in the red zone. So I'm very curious to see how they do against Oregon's defense. Really good defensive line, especially up the middle. Linebacker, more to be desired from, but the secondary has been really good. Oregon has been a top 5 secondary this year in college football. So that I'm really interested to watch, very interested to see. And I'm going to take Oregon. I think it's going to be a defensive game to an extent. I'm going to take Oregon win this game around I would say 20-17. I think they win this late, either that or there's a backdoor cover from the Red Raiders. But no, I really like Oregon in this game. I think they'll come out of it. Next, Alabama, Indiana. Now I think this is a hard matchup to pick from. I really do. And shout out to Daniel Henry. Daniel says Indiana 27, Alabama 17. I think this game is going to be more defensive. I'm more so leaning around the score of 17-14, 17-10, somewhere around there. It's going to be really, really hard for. I think I've talked to a lot of Alabama fans, and I think what they don't understand is just how good that defense is for Indiana. Now, they are missing their best defensive tackle, who leads the nation in tackles for loss. But I really believe that if Bama cannot run the ball, it is going to be a long day for them. And I mean a long one. Because at the end of the day, Indiana's secondary is still pretty good. It is. The linebacker core, very good. I think it's one of the top 5 in the country. Defensive line, very athletic, a lot of stunts. Alabama's offensive line. Some people might get mad at me for saying this. I think they're fat and slow. Very good, but fat and slow. So I think that when you face some guys like Indiana, and they have guys like Kamara that can get around your defensive lineman really quickly, and they show you a lot of different things, I think it's going to be hard for Ty Simpson. I really do. Now, the other side, I think that Indiana struggles against good defenses. That's just a fact. But it's not like everybody does in college football. Ohio State does. Indiana does. When you have to face an elite defense, man, that's what happens. Now, I'm curious to see if Bama's. I think they give up 168 passing yards per game. I'm interested to see how they hold up against Surratt. I think Cooper should be back. Then, of course, Charlie Becker. Really good wide receiver trio. But I think the thing for Alabama needs to do is, can you make them one-dimensional? That being Indiana. Can you force them just to pass? Can you force them just to run? Because they can do both. They're a very well-balanced team. And they're good. I think there's no way to talk. There's no other way to say about this. They're really good. And I think currently right now, I think Indiana's a 7-point favorite or 6.5-point favorite. What a world we live in where we can say Indiana's favored against Alabama in the playoffs. I'm really interested to see how that matchup goes because I think it could go either way. I think there's some people who are overlooking Alabama and thinking that they can't beat Indiana. Like I see it around right now. Some people think it's a foregone conclusion that Indiana is just going to beat Alabama. I'm not there. And it's simply because every time Indiana has played really good defenses, they struggle. This is a game they can lose. Every game they played, except the Oregon game was what it is. They won that game flat out and very impressively. But against Iowa, a game they probably should have lost. Ohio State, a game they really, really struggled. Penn State, they struggled. So that is just it's a pattern. When they play really good defenses, specifically in the defensive line front. Yeah, I glitched right there, everybody. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think they struggle every single time. So I'm really interested to see how they match up against that. And then we have Ole Miss and Georgia. I think this is going to be a blowout. Now, of course, early in the year, Ole Miss gave them a really good game, was able to move the ball up and down the field on Georgia. Georgia ended up coming out of that game with the win, a really tight game, high-scoring game too. But I think that's a different Georgia team, specifically on defense. I think that this Georgia team is much different from what they were. I think in these playoffs, we're going to see, specifically in this round, we're going to see the clear difference between Georgia, Ohio State, and everybody else in these playoffs. I think there's going to be a clear difference. I think these teams are going to go out there and show what they're really worth. And I think it's going to happen to Ole Miss. I'm a huge Trinidad Chambliss fan. By the way, shout out to Ferris State, where he won a national championship last year. They won their 4th in the last 5 years, so shout out to them. But it's still GVSU all day. But I like Trinidad. But I think that this game could get ugly. I'm gonna take them to win this game like 35 to 40 points to 20. I think that Georgia could really win this game by 2 or 3 scores. I don't think Ole Miss has a chance. Not that they don't have a chance in this game. I just don't see them winning this game. Could they? For sure. But I just can't see it. But let's go ahead and continue here, everybody, with a quick message from the voice of college football again. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, and please remember, you must be 21 years old to do so. And that means everywhere.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right, then. Real quick, I want to read some of these comments I have saved right here. Aaron says, Miami fans making outlandish takes on my timeline and slandering JJ, man. It's crazy in these streets for the next 9 days, LMAO. Yeah, it's going to be crazy, bro. It really is. Like, a few weeks before we all talked about it. And if Miami was going to win that game, it's going to be one of the most – it's almost going to be like the week of us playing the game against the team up north. It's going to be a lot of hate. Miami doesn't like us. We don't like Miami. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm happy that Miami is here. I'm happy that they're coming to play us. I'm happy that we're playing them. I wouldn't want it any other way, and I'm sure you guys all feel the same way too. Daniel says Indiana 27, Alabama 17. Yeah, oh, I read that, but yeah, that's high, but it's very possible. I mean, I thought the Oklahoma Alabama game would be more lower scoring. So if this would have happened, I wouldn't be surprised at all, Daniel. I really wouldn't. Penn State Sports Talk 2477. Good to see you in here, man. You've been hiding. I see Ryan Day is calling plays now. I'll take the Miami money line. Penn State, my only question for you is this. Do you trust Mario Cristobal more than you would trust Ryan Day? That's my only question I have for you. Shout out to LAZ. He says Cignetti is not a coach to sleep on. He really coached his team up. Facts. Cignetti knows what he's facing with his veteran team. No, that's true. When talking to Alabama fans, they asked me, who is Indiana playing their non-con, and I basically expressed them. I said that doesn't really matter to me. They have they beat Oregon at Oregon, and it wasn't that close. They only gave up 13 points on defense, and then they beat Ohio State. And as much as I think Ohio State didn't help themselves in that game, they still won, undefeated, 13-0, Big Ten champs. You gotta respect it. You really do. And what Cignetti has done with that team and with that program, nothing short of a spectacular and impressive. And shout out to Kevin Bauman. He says, unfortunately, I think Indiana's lack of depth may do them in against a healthy Alabama. That could be true. That could be true. I agree with you, Kevin, that but I think that at starting positions, Indiana can match up with anybody in the country and beat anybody in the country. But I also think the problem is when the depth has to show up, like we're going to see on their defensive line losing their best offensive tackle. What can you do then? Like, do you have a guy to fill that spot? Will that guy that come in be a mark? Those are the things I'm really curious to see. But if that lack of depth meant anything, they would have lost to Oregon and they would have lost to Ohio State. And Oregon and Ohio State are both better than Alabama, in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, Alabama is still a one-dimensional team who can't run the ball. Like that cannot be overlooked. And if they can run the ball in Indiana, then they are in. Hey man, they can make it work. I really believe that. But next, let's get to our game, everybody. The game that we are all excited here to talk about, and that is the Miami Hurricanes facing the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl at 7 p.m. The Buckeyes currently right now 9.5-point favorites, coming down from 10.5. Over under 42.5. Again, if you would like to, people, go ahead and check out Novig, where you can click in our code at VOCFBOSU, spend $5, get use 50. Awesome. And also, you must be 21 or older to do that. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. But let's get to this, everybody. I'm really excited for this game. First off, of course, if you're old like me, at the age of 32. You were there for us in the 2003 national championship game when Ohio State faced, who were like the cardiac kids that year, faced the Miami Hurricanes, who were trying to go back-to-back, which is really cool to see what in the situation that we're in now. Of course, everyone knew that Miami team was the overall favorite. No one gave Ohio State a chance in that game, even though we were 12-0. Or 13-0, I believe, at that time. And, of course, Ohio State, in double overtime, won that game with players such as Will Smith Jr. Senior, whose son is now on the team and rest in heaven. Will Smith Sr. Mike Doss, Chris Gamble, Michael Jenkins. Just so many names. Maurice Claret. How could I not say his name? AJ Hawk, Matt Wilhelm. Just an awesome team that you always remember back to. And then Miami, of course, with Willis McGahee and Keller Winslow Jr., Andre Johnson, Sean Taylor, Jonathan Bilma. That game was so spectacular to watch. If you remember back then, my dad actually, we still have that game on DVD. So my dad actually, for a long time, once a year, he pops the DVD in and watches that game. Because look, man, that was just a memorable moment for me. That was actually that was the same season that I started playing football and loved. Where I really grew to love to play the game and loved Ohio State. So as a young kid, so it's really cool now going here. Well, it's 2025, so some almost over 20 years later, and now we're at this point where Ohio State's trying to go back to back, and Miami's the underdog. A lot of people aren't really giving them a chance, and they got to go face us in order to have a chance at possibly playing for the national championship down the road here in a few weeks. So, firstly, let's start just overarching things. Miami, defensively, really good team. One of the best defensive lines in the country, one of the most talented defensive lines in the country. Guys like Messidor and Bain, two defensive ends that are game wreckers. Those are just two of the best players in the sport, not just defensive players, but players in the game. They're a big defensive line. This is probably the largest team Ohio State's going to see all season, and yeah, it probably is. They're massive guys on that team. Now, on offense, they are good. I wouldn't call them efficient. Well, they're efficient to an extent, but the run game, the guys like Mark Fletcher, who who most of us really want to be a Buckeye, thought he was going to be a Buckeye. Beck, one of the I think he is the highest paid player in college football right now. But tenured quarterback, veteran quarterback, has seen a lot of football. Not much that he hasn't seen, of course. Spending his first 4 years at Georgia as a Bulldog. And then you have guys like Malachi Tony, man, one of the most electric players in the sport. And he's a true freshman. He's honestly one of the more fun players to watch. Just the way he does what he does. He's very quick, really agile. Doesn't have a lot of top end speed, but he can shake you out of his boots and he can go to the end zone. So some quick notes on here about Alabama, Miami. Carson Beck, 3,175 yards in the season, 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but hitting 74.5%. And also been sacked 11 times this year, so been very well protected. Mark Fletcher, leading rusher, 857 yards on 5.4 per bruising running back. So, averaging that's really good, and 10 touchdowns on the season. Malachi Tony, 89 receptions, 992 yards on 11.1 per, 8 touchdowns. And Daniels, I would say, is their second guy to really watch, 400 plus yards this year, 7 touchdowns. So what does Ohio State have to do in this game? How does Ohio State be successful? Now, a lot of the conversation I've been hearing, and what you're going to hear a lot from shows, are Ohio State's offense versus the Miami defense. But I think that the more intriguing matchup is the Miami offense versus the Ohio State defense, because I trust Ohio State's offense to score more points than Miami's. Just flat out, right? But I think what gets lost is that everybody keeps saying, well, if they can run the ball, Miami has to run the ball. They have Mark Fletcher. Ohio State hasn't really let anybody run on them. Now, for a lot of people bring up the Texas game, or they bring up the Indiana game, where I think both running backs averaged about 4.5 to 5 yards per carry. With that being said, though, when it came down to it, they couldn't run the ball situationally, right? You're not going to line it up against Ohio State and go 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That is not how you beat Ohio State. What Indiana did was that they took shots. They did it early, and they didn't back off from it. Now, on most of them, they didn't hit, but on the ones they did hit, I will help them win the game. So I'm really interested to see, can Carson Beck do that? Can Carson Beck go out there and not put his team in danger as he can do? He did it against SMU. He really did it against Louisville. I think he had 3 interceptions in that game. Outside the last interception, 2 of those picks he had there were him trying to go deep, trying to hit Malachi Tony, and I think it was Daniels was the other one. Both of them got picked off. And both of those plays, I think, were like in triple coverage. I mean, it's one thing to take your shots, but you got to do it strategically. And I wonder if Carson Beck knows how to do that. And though Ohio State secondary, a lot of people want to pick on them for some odd reason. I get, people talking about Jermaine Matthews. I won't say I'm critical of Jermaine Matthews, because I expect more of him. I think we need Jermaine Mathis to be that guy that he was at the beginning of the year that was just ball hawking everywhere. And I think he can do that. I think he can be that. And I hope he will be that in this game and the rest of these playoffs. But I trust Ohio State on our defensive line against this offensive line of Miami's. That's really good. Miami has a really massive offensive line. I think they might struggle to go against our guys that are much more athletic. I truly believe that. And Ohio State can still bull rush when they want to. On top of that, when you talk about guys like Arvell Reese coming from the middle or coming from the edge, I think he's going to have the advantage there too. I'm looking for Arvell Reese to have a big game. I really am. Like a 2-sack, 3 to 4 TFLs. That's the type of game we're going to need out of him in this one. But again, I just don't see Miami running the ball that effectively on us. I don't even think they'll get to 100 yards on us. And I think if you want to beat Ohio State, you have in these playoffs, I believe, like Indiana, I think it's a one-off. You got to get over that 100-yard mark. Texas did, but it wasn't enough for them because the pass game wasn't there for them either. So again, I'm really excited to see that. Also, they don't go there tight end a lot, or as much as I think they should. With that being said, I think guys like Jay McClain and Caleb Downs, how elite that they have been back there this season, and we know what Caleb Downs is. Who by the way, everybody, I don't know if you've seen the video, but go check it out later or someone you get the time. I talked about whether Caleb Downs is the best Ohio State safety of all time after that Thorpe Award award. But Jay McClain has been one of the most underrated players in college football. I thought that this season he played like a guy who, if he had, I think if he was next to Caleb Downs, he could be looked at as an All-American. He played it awesome this season next to him. Caleb Downs was able to honestly to trust him as a first-year player. I mean, he's a sophomore, true sophomore. So for the way he's been playing has been awesome. And then for Davison Igbinosun, I think he's the guy that you want to have. If you're going to go man coverage and Malachi Tony is at the boundary, I think he's the guy that you want to have on him. I think that he is this season he has been nothing short of a shutdown corner. Nothing short of that. Going into the season, a lot of people thought that for some odd reason, people thought Igbinosun wouldn't get better. They thought he would still be the handsy guy that he was last season. Well, that's gone. That's done away with. He's one of the best corners in college football. And I think in this playoffs, if he wants to earn himself some money, he could start with this game against guys like Malachi Tony and try to you're not going to shut Tony down per se, but go out there and have a really good game against him. Another thing is that I don't really fear Miami when it comes to taking deep shots against our defense. Now, I mean, Indiana has some success on it. I think a lot of teams have had success here and there against Ohio State, but it's not consistent enough for me to be afraid of that. Again, Malachi Tony is 11.1 per reception guy. What does that mean? A lot of screens, a lot of underneath passes, a lot of slants. So we gotta be there and cover him fully. Give Carson Beck tight windows to throw through. I think if we're able to do that, specifically through our safety play with our linebackers, guys like Sonny Styles, listen, this is not Ohio State is not Texas A&M. You're not going to see Mark Fletcher running over our linebackers. Hell or high water, that's not happening. Sonny Styles hasn't missed a tackle all season, and we have big guys at linebacker. So, I mean, I think that really offsets what Mark Fletcher is as good as I think he is as a running back. On top of that, Miami doesn't run to the edge a lot. They don't run outside. They come straight for you up the middle. Who is there? The best defensive tackle in the country, Caden McDonald. Really excited to see what he does in this game. I think it's a good matchup for him. Guys like Tom Malone going against a very large offensive line. Now, with that being said, I think our guys are much more athletic than anything that they have seen. I think guys like Caden Curry are going to give them trouble. I think Kenyatta Jackson Jr. is going to give them trouble. One thing I am also interested to see, does CJ Hicks play? He's been activated, so I'm really curious to say, hey, okay, in a game where you're playing a large offensive line, they may not move around as well. Do you want to bring guys in who can get off the edge and get to the quarterback and get into the backfield and run plays? I would really love to see if they use him more, just use his speed. Also want to see if they use Caleb Downs coming off the edge too. They have shown many times for this year and last year. Caleb Downs one of the best run support safeties in the country. If not, well, he's the best safety in the country, anyways. But great tackler, guy that can play in the box, get to the line of scrimmage, and get downhill and get a tackle for loss. That is somebody that he is. I also don't fear Carson Beck running on us. No quarterback is running on us, not even Damon Williams. So I think that's going to be a good matchup there. Really excited to see what we do. I would like to see us blitz more. As much as I think we should, run zone against them and make them throw in tight windows, try and take away Malachi Tony with the zone, I think it would behoove of us to try and get to the quarterback and try to confuse this offensive line and make them run around. Again, when you play large offensive lines, they don't move as well. They just don't. So I think that's something Ohio State can do in this game. Now, on the other side of the ball, Ohio State's offense versus the Miami defense. Probably the second. This is probably the second biggest matchup from a defense that we're going to see all season. Of course, we've seen Indiana's defensive line. We've seen Texas' defensive line. But I think that this defensive line from Miami poses a different challenge. They're massive, just like their O-line. They're very good. The top-end talent is first round, second round guys. That's just a fact. And real quick, everybody, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that like button. But subscribe to the channel if you like the content. But a few things here I'm gonna read specifically about their defense. Again, Messidor 8.5 sacks, Bain 7.5, Moten 4.5, Jacoby Thomas 4 interceptions this year. A guy that pops up off the screen every week when you watch Miami is Scott. That guy, I'll tell you what, there's not much he can't do on the football field. I think this is the most talented defense that we've seen so far this year. From top to bottom, from the back end to the front. Now, what does Ohio State have to do to be successful? Well, first off, we're gonna start with the run game. If Bo Jackson has it going, you gotta give him the ball, and you gotta start early with him. Excuse me. You gotta start early with him. Against Indiana, 17 carries, 4.9 yards per. If in that game like that, you gotta give him the ball 25 to 30 times. I truly believe that. I'm not coming off that stance. I think we did our team a disservice by not just running him into the ground. I thought that was the time to do it. If Ohio State can go out there and get some push, or I wouldn't say get push, because I think for Ohio State, what they should be doing is running towards the outside. That is where teams have had success. SMU had success doing that. Louisville had a lot of success doing that run to the outside. I thought that Texas A&M did this as a disservice by not continuing to do so when they had chances to go to the outside. They had some good pop plays, and then they just stopped. So for Ohio State, we'd love to see some zone and gap scheme. We'd love to see give our running back Bo Jackson a chance to bounce it to the outside, pulling guards. Again, I think that even though, and same thing on their offense, on the line of scrimmage, even though Miami is talented, they have big guys up front, guys that can block you and guys that can get to the quarterback. I am very curious about what do they do sideline to sideline. Because sideline, and I've heard some guys say, we went sideline to sideline against Texas A&M. Different beast, different monster, different offense, different everything. This isn't Texas A&M. These ain't the Aggies with some stupid chant that we do. This ain't that. This is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Excuse me. So I'm really interested to see how we run the ball, because we have to do it to win this game. I'm not going to go out here and go off on a limb to say Ohio State's going to blow them out. Now, do I think we're going to do a controlled ass kicking on them? Yes. But I also don't believe we're just going to go out there and blow them out. We got to go out there and earn this game. We're definitely going to go out there and have to earn this. With the pass protection, guys like Gabe, he's completely better at pass pro than Tegra was. Again, Padilla, as we said earlier, better than running, but he can also pass pro too. But I'm really interested to see when we use those two guards and what situations and when we feel we should be using them. For guys like I have no worries for Luke Montgomery and Austin Sareveld. I think they're going to be fine against whoever they had to go against, whether it be Messidor, whether it be Bain, or whoever else. I think they're going to do their job. Now, for guys like Philip Daniels, I'm curious. Like, can you hold your composure? Can you sit there and hold your ground? Now, he's been better against larger defensive linemen than he has been against those quick twitch guys that you saw against Indiana. He did much better against larger defensive tackles and ends this year. But again, this is a new challenge, completely new challenge. These are these are large athletes, so we're gonna need Philip Daniels' best game. I think in the run game he will be fine. It's in the pass protection where I'm really worried about him. And I won't say really worried. Just it's something to point out, something to watch when we face the Hurricanes. Because what they do like to do is that they loved, or not loved, they truly love shifting their the defensive line will be to the right. They'll at the snap of the ball, they will all go left. They send this blitz a lot. They have all season, and they send a safety and a linebacker off the edge. That's gonna be Philip Daniels. That's gonna be Bo Jackson. In situations like that, when we gotta throw the ball, we need them to hold up, because if they don't, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. For the pass game, look, SMU, Notre Dame. Even though their pass game didn't really work, I'm taking Notre Dame out of that, but like Louisville, man, target Jeremiah. Last year in the playoffs against Tennessee, in the broadcast, they said they want to give Jeremiah Smith at least 10 touches, no matter how it happened. That has to be the same game plan going to these playoffs, starting against Miami. And I'm sure it will be. He needs to go out. We need to go out there. Ryan Day calling the plays, and you spam Jeremiah. You spam him until they feel as though they want to try and take him away. And as soon as they do that, you go over the top to Carnell Tate. I also want to see guys like Max Clare get more involved. I think Max Clare can take advantage of their linebackers. If he's ever meshed up against them, I would hope that we audible into something that gets him open. We've shown plenty of times throughout the last half of the year, especially in the last month, we would scheme him open. The game that Carnell Tate and Jeremiah didn't play, we schemed him open a lot. This is the game to use those plays. This is the game. As we talked about 2 weeks ago, listen, you got to find Brandon. If he's open, you got to get the ball to BI. He is open. And I love a game like this for these guys because, BI, South Florida guy, South Florida Dade County guy, not Dade County, but South Florida guy, and you got Jeremiah, who's a Dade County kid. I'm really I know they want to win this game more than anybody else. I mean, we've all heard some of the smack talk over the last few years that JJ, even Brandon Ennis has gotten over the last few years for even picking Ohio State. I really, really, really want to see these guys get spammed. I'm also curious. I think Miami's pass defense is suspect because at the end of the day, if Miami can't get any pressure, I think that's how this game could get ugly. That's the sole way that this game will get ugly. If Miami can't get to Julian Sand, I'm not sure how Miami's going to hold up on the back end. I'm not sure how their tight ends can hold up. Their linebackers can hold up. Thomas is a really good player in the secondary, but you can't just win off of one guy back there. So, yeah, man, I'm really interested to see how this all shakes out, everybody. Really excited. What final prediction? And by the way, everybody, if you're in the comments right now, if you're in the chat, go ahead and post your scores for the Cotton Bowl for the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes facing the number 10 Miami Hurricanes. But let me think about this. I think what's gonna happen. Hey, get that out of here. Get that out of here. But I think Ohio State, they're gonna start this game trying to run the ball. I think they're gonna try to run the ball early. I'm sorry, pass the ball early. I think they're gonna start short, get Jeremiah open, try and get Carnell the ball early, slants, comeback routes, things of that nature, crossing drag routes. By the way, Miami plays man, and they struggle against crossing routes. So I think that's something you got to do right there, crossing and drag routes. I think at that point, Ohio State tries to control the game, maybe go up by a score and a half, like a score or so, and then try and run the ball. Somewhere around the third quarter. I'm gonna go Ohio State. I'm gonna go Ohio State 23, Miami 13. I think Miami's gonna get some drives. They get down to the red zone, but I don't think they're gonna finish off well. By the way, Miami, there's been a lot of talk about Ohio State's offense in the red zone. Miami, they give up 80% to opponents in the red zone. So I think Ohio State can take advantage of that. Oh boy. Okay. Let's see. So shout out to JD Carmona. He says Ohio State 24 to 23. Okay, close game. Can be mad at that. Daniel Henry says Ohio State 31, Miami 17. Okay, a higher scoring, like that one. And this isn't a dome. So maybe I'm wrong here, man. I feel like this game could be lower scoring, but again, Ryan Day in dome games, boy, he lets that thing go. Jam, she has Ohio State winning 24-10. Christopher Phillips 31-10 Bucks. So Eddie Delva, Miami 24 to Ohio State 17. All right, then there we go. I like that. I'm gonna guess you're a Miami fan. Vance 305 said Miami have a fresh with 6 interceptions. Let's see. Vance also says Miami 24, Ohio State 3. Sir, whatever you're smoking, please send it to me. Please do. And then LAZ says Ohio State 24, Miami 10. Awesome. Love it. Actually, I want to read this real quick. So JD Carmona says, honestly, Ohio State fans are in for a sweet surprise on how tough Miami will be. You'll have respect for us. I think we do respect you guys. We really do. It's just that it's you guys. It ain't the team. It's you fans. It's you Miami fans. Because as much as I can sit here and talk about what you guys are as a team, I think you guys are forgetting just who you're playing. You're playing the Ohio State Buckeyes. Like, and I can understand. I empathize with you. I truly do. To know that at one point in time in the early 2000s, you were the creme de la creme in the country. And then we took that from you. Took everything from you. Sent you to the depths of hell. College football purgatory. And then through that, you had to see us elevate as a program and become to where we are now, to where we're trying to go back to back. Don't get me wrong, man. I completely understand it. I completely do. And I can't wait to play you guys. I think it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a fun game. I think it can be a defensive game. And yeah. Look, man, hey, if you guys win, I'll be right here and you can come back and I'll congratulate you. But if you lose, JD Carmona, I'm looking right. You're the first person I'm looking for, buddy. You're the first person I'm looking for. But I appreciate you for being here, man. This is a safe space for all college football fans. Again, everybody, thank you for showing up here to Ohio State Live Primetime Live. Real quick before we get out of here, everybody. We do awesome work here at the network, all across from Ohio State to the team up north, we have actually the Miami channel. Everybody is the largest channel here at the Voice of College Football. So if you would like to have a sponsorship here, have your name here, we can help you grow with us. Go ahead and contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com. Again, that's sponsorships@vocfb.com. Oh man, oh man, oh man. I'll tell you what. Miami fans, we're gonna be looking for you. Because what this does eerily like remind me of when we had to play Tennessee last year. And they did all that talking, all that jibber jabbing. But your team has to play the Ohio State Buckeyes, not you. But again, man, you know what? This is how we're gonna end it, baby. Right there. OHIO. That's what I'm talking about, LAZ. Everybody, thank you again for showing up here to Ohio State Primetime Live. If you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you like our content, hit that hype button that helps us get through the algorithm, and also sharing social media, whether it be Facebook, X account, anywhere else, that helps us out and does a lot for the network and this channel. Well, again, and as always, OHIO.